Hello there again, YouTube. It's once again I, your Gothic host with the most, Knox Burzum, back to bring you more blasphemous banter. Today we have the beginning of Rob Zombie's blood-soaked trilogy, House of a Thousand Corpses. From 2003, rated R, coming in a cool hour and a half. Two young couples traveling across the backwoods of Texas searching for urban legends of murder and mayhem end up as prisoners of a bizarre and sadistic backwater family of serial killers. We're also pretty sure they make snuff films for a living. Directed by Rob Zombie, written by Rob Zombie. Starring Sid Haig as the incredible Captain Spaulding, Karen Black as Mother Firefly, Bill Moseley as Otis, Sherry Moon Zombie as Baby Firefly, of course, Chad Bannon as Killer Carl. We've got William Bassett as Sheriff Frank Houston. And we got Erin Daniels as Denise Willis, who is, of course, one of the victims. Fun fact, if you are watching carefully, you will notice that the guy who plays Dwight on The Office is one of the victims in this movie as well, which I thought was pretty great. You've got Matthew McGregory as Tiny Firefly. And there's one other guy I wanted to mention. Oh, we got Dennis Fimple as Grandpa Hugo, who is one of the best characters in this whole thing just because he's amazing to watch go at it. Alright, let's see here. Comes with only a 31 from Metascore. Comes with a 6.0 out of 10 from IMDb. Sex and nudity, moderate, which is mostly accurate-ish, I guess. Although there's quite a bit of nudity in this thing, to be honest. Violence and gore, severe. Profanity, severe. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking, mild, believe it or not. Frightening, which, again, not entirely sure that that's accurate, but and frightening and intense scenes, severe. So, what is there to say about this movie that hasn't been said by 1,000 other YouTubers? Well, first of all, I love this film. I love it from beginning to end. I think that it is definitely is Rob Zombie's love letter to trashy 1970s, 1980s grindhouse cinema. And everything from the set designs, which, like, more than half the time you can tell you're just looking at a set. But that's okay for this, because that's kind of how the grindhouse films of 70s and 80s were. You weren't really supposed to believe that any of the world was real. It's just, it's the world that this story is taking place in. It's kind of just a live-action comic book type deal. And when you watch the behind-the-scenes commentary, Zombie does admit that on multiple occasions that he didn't want everything to look super polished. He wanted things to look kind of dirty, and he wanted things to look a little surreal, and he wanted it to be basically like kind of a different world that you're stepping into by being in this. One of the best examples I can give is what's his last name? His name is Otis. Unfortunately, they don't give the whole thing. Well, Otis Firefly, we'll call him, because I'm pretty sure that's what they call him. Anyway, Otis in this one, you'll notice a big difference between Otis in this movie and Otis in The Devil's Rejects. And the most stark differences are in House of a Thousand Corpses, Otis is pink-eyed, he's stringy-haired, his hair is actually kind of thinning out. He looks gaunt the entire time, and, like, he's a straight-up monster in this movie. Like, Val and I were discussing the last couple of nights while we watched these two films that in the first film, we're looking at things through the eyes of the victims. So both Baby Firefly and Otis appear more monstrous and kind of more psychotic, and they appear as almost caricatures of just evil, really. And there's no real redeeming values to them. I mean, not that there is in general, but like these people are monstrous, like to a comical degree in this film, and that's okay. Karen Blackley, Mother Firefly, she is over the top evil slut, and it's kind of great. Um, I really want to see if I can find you a decent synopsis to read, because I am terrible at over explaining things. So just give me a moment here. Let me see what I can find. So, after an opening black and white segment of a TV horror host, you know what? I suppose I should give you my 10 cents. I should give you my 2 cents first before I read off this whole synopsis, I suppose. What do I give this movie? This movie is purposely trashy. It is purposely over the top acted, and it is basically a straight up love letter to Grindhouse. Personally, I fucking love it. I give this a 9 out of 10. It is disturbing, it is bloody, it is gory, it is violent, it is, especially for those who have not seen it before, it is a very scary film. The characters in it are the villains in it are absolutely terrifying. Their motives are pure chaos. I give it a 9, mostly because there are shots that linger for too long, as many have pointed out. I'll be completely honest, I do get a little tired of hearing the word fuck be used over and over and over and over and over and over and over, just because Zombie didn't have a ton of writing experience under his belt at this time yet. He was still mostly just, a singer-songwriter, and you could tell that this was kind of a project that he'd been trying to get off the ground for a long time, which it was, and he took I guess, between 5 and 10 years to be able to make this movie. So, there's that. Do I think it's worth your time to go see it? Yes, 100%, absolutely. Go see this one, especially if you can get a group of friends together for Halloween. Definitely check out this film. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what services you can get this on. I would assume that you can get it on Amazon. I'm sure you can get it on Vudu, YouTube, Google Video. Probably can find it on Plex. I'm gonna take a reach out here and say that you're probably going to have to pay for everything. Oh, I'm sure you can find it on Amazon Video. You're gonna have to rent it. There's no chance you're gonna find it for free, really. You might find it for free on Tubi with commercials, but that's the best I'm gonna offer you on that one. Honestly, as old as it is, just go out and get yourself a copy for like $10. You're gonna be able to find a really good copy for like $10 to $12, and you will thank yourself. I love the effects. I really like the photography. I love the costuming. The costuming makes you feel like these are old school villains. Otis literally looks like a ragtag version of Charles Manson, so it's pretty great. I am a little hung up on this film, and I kind of just want to get spoilers, so let's get to it, shall we? After an opening black and white segment of a TV horror host named Dr. Wolfenstein, by the way, who is great, introducing a Halloween movie marathon, and there's a TV commercial advertisement where an old redneck clown named Captain Spaulding introducing his tourist attraction titled Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen, which is a place featuring serial killer attractions and fried chicken. It just tastes so damn good. As well as decorated with oddities and collectibles. At Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen is a rundown gas station out in the middle of nowhere, where the small town of Rugsville. The date is October 30th, 1977. The local sheriff is filling up his car while feeding his pet dog some fried chicken wings. Inside, Captain Spaulding is having a conversation with an old, decrepit local man named Stucky over a topless autographed photo of June Wilkinson and about the local simpleton who works down the road. When Stucky goes to the nearby restroom, two masked thugs break into the gas station, who, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to rob a store obviously run by psychopaths. As the two men hold Stucky and Spaulding at gunpoint, the tough-tucking lead thug named Killer Carl demands that Spaulding hand over the cash register, while the other thug, whom is clearly mentally retarded, holds Stucky back. Spaulding refuses to open the cash register, and with a gun pointed at his face, defiantly says things like, "Fuck your mama! Fuck your sister!" to Killer Carl, which, by the way, is a hilarious delivery. Stucky seems to recognize the second robber as Richard Wick, the local simpleton who works down at the local hardware store. Suddenly, a third man comes crashing through the door, dressed in overalls and wearing a gigantic clown helmet. He is clutching a mallet, which he puts to good use by literally beating Killer Carl down, while Richard Wick panics and shoots off his gun, hitting Stucky, but missing Spaulding, who pulls out a gun of his own and shoots Richard in the head, killing him. Seeing that Killer Carl is still alive, sprawled out on the floor, Spaulding walks up to him, points his gun at his face, and says, "But most of all, fuck you," and then fires, killing Carl, which is the greatest opening scene in a horror film I think I've ever seen. Especially because it does make you laugh. After the opening credits, which is basically Rob Zombie's home videos that he spliced together with a bunch of background music, we see a group of 4 kids: Denise, played by Erin Daniels; Mary, played by Jennifer Johnston; Bill, played by Rainn Wilson, a.k.a., of course, Dwight Schrute; and Jerry, played by Chris Hardwick, who are driving down backwoods Texas roads while the radio reports that a group of area cheerleaders have gone missing. They go to the gas station and fried chicken shop where Spaulding still resides. They arrive just as Spaulding is mopping up a huge blood stain on the floor. Despite being a twisted murderer, he happily takes the 4 on a tour through a serial killer-themed ride in his museum featuring Ed Gein and the like. The man with the mullet from the opening massacre is operating the cart on the ride. He is Spaulding's assistant, Ravelini, played by Erwin Keyes. He is a little deformed and very freaky. I wouldn't really say that. He's kind of just... He's got one of those kind of mongoloid brows going on. He looks like he might be a little held back mentally. That's really the only thing about him. After the ride, Jerry inquires about a local serial killer named Dr. Satan. Dr. fucking Satan, who was hanged and vanished, never to be seen again. Spaulding clearly becomes uncomfortable talking about Dr. Satan after being pestered, deciding to give them the address of the tree where Satan was hung. As the 4 teens continue their journey, it begins to rain. Soon the 4 of them pick up a female hitchhiker. The hitchhiker is a beautiful young woman who introduces herself as Baby, played by Sherry Moon, of course. Despite her beauty, Baby acts strangely, and things get stranger when the car suddenly gets a flat tire. The tire was pierced by a shotgun blast by a mysterious man crashed by the side of the road, you see. Baby in this acts like basically a manic pixie serial killer girl. Like, she's extremely gorgeous in this film and very crazy. So, yeah. And just exudes sexuality. It's kind of great. Eventually, a tow truck arrives, driven by the shooter Rufus, whom is Baby's older brother. He tows their truck to his house, a large, creepy home with scarecrows and mangled baby dolls. While Rufus works on the car, the 4 teens are introduced to another member of the clan, Mother Firefly, played by Karen Black, and an ugly woman with rotten teeth who is the mother of the household. Karen Black, of course, is a very famous horror movie actress and has done dozens and dozens of films. The 4 coerced into having dinner with the bunch and are introduced to the hideously deformed 7-foot-tall Italian played by Matthew McGorry, who wears a mask because Mother Firefly claims he was burned in a terrible fire started by her former husband, Earl. Also introducing himself is the surly, foul-mouthed Grandpa Hugo, played by Dennis Fimple, who is fucking incredible. I really wish that the comedy routine that he goes through in this movie was fully fleshed out, like in the blooper reel or something, because I would love to see what he's doing. He gives so much energy to this performance at all times. He's never off. He's always on. It's great. Let's see here. While the uncomfortable dinner takes place in an upstairs bedroom, a member of the family named Otis is ranting at and torturing the five missing cheerleaders from the radio transmission. He goes downstairs, joins the family dinner, where he talks about the four creeped out teens, talks to them about the legend of Dr. Satan. The family puts on a painfully strange Halloween show for the group, starting with Grandpa Hugh doing a foul-mouthed comedy routine, which only Jerry finds funny. I find it somewhat amusing. Baby comes out on the stage lip-syncing to a 1940s pop song. The show ends badly when Mary starts to fight with Baby when she starts flirting with Bill, which is not really accurate. She's just acting out her part of the song, so I'm not really sure that that's accurate. Baby then comes after Mary with a pocket knife while Mother Firefly is barely able to hold her back. Rufus arrives, announces that he has fixed their car, and the 4 teenagers immediately drive out of harm's way. Bill drives the car away. The 2 of the scarecrows, though, surrounding the driveway come alive. It's actually Otis and Tiny, and they begin beating Bill and Jerry and smashing up the car. All 4 are taken hostage again. The 4 teens are held captive in various rooms in the house, and the family subjects them to unspeakable acts of mental and physical torture. Bill is the first to die when he is completely mutilated beyond recognition by Otis, who refers to his corpse as Fish Boy, which is a great effect, by the way. I listened to the audio commentary about how it was done, and he actually had to sit there. I can't remember. I think it's actually him sitting there. I don't think Zombie had the money for a body double, so he had to lay there and just be really still, I think, for the entire thing, which is kind of crazy because he looks really good. Let's see here. Jerry has the skin on his head peeled open by Baby, who taunts the stoned out guy over her interest in music. In the basement of the house, the captive Denise coerces Tiny into setting her free, but she's recaptured by Otis and thrown into a cage with other captives who attack her. Meanwhile, Denise's father becomes worried about his daughter when she doesn't answer the phone the next morning. He drives out to the small town where Denise phoned from the previous night and enlists the help of 2 local state troopers, Wydell and Nash. And the 3 of them head to where the kids were last seen. The trio arrive at Spalding's museum, question him about what's going on, and he gives the policemen the answers that they need. On their way, the 3 of them find Denise's car with the dead body of one of the murdered cheerleaders in the trunk. After having the local sheriff tow away the car to the crime lab, Wydell, Nash... By the way, I'm not trying to put a weird southern drawl in this. His name is spelled Naisa, so Nash. And Don, that's Denise's father, arrive at the Firefly house to question the owners as to the whereabouts of the missing kids. While Waddell goes inside the front door and talks to Mother Firefly about his search for Denise and her 3 friends, Nash and Don sneak around back to look for any foul play. They come upon the locked tool shed. Nash breaks down the door and finds a horrific sight. The tortured but still living Mary is tied to the ceiling as she writhes around in terror. Surrounding her are all the dead and mangled bodies of the missing cheerleaders. Over the song I Remember You by Slim Whitman, both Nash and Don flip the hell out and go into shock, generally losing their sanity from this horrible sight. Inside the house, Wydell hears the screams from his men and rises out of his chair, but Mother Firefly suddenly pulls out a gun and shoots Wydell through the neck, killing him. Then Otis walks into the backyard with a gun blazing away, hitting Don in the back as he attempts to run, who falls dead into a pool of mud. The terrified Nash drops his gun and holds his hands up high, while Otis walks up to him and points a 45 caliber gun at his forehead. The movie goes silent and holds on the 2 men for a very long, probably almost 45 seconds, maybe even a minute. And Otis finally fires, killing Nash instantly. The Firefly family decides to hold a massive ritual. Otis skins Don and wears his flesh like a full body cast. Rufus drives around wildly in Wydell's police car after getting drunk. Baby goes out and buys liquor from a man named G. Uber, who runs the local liquor store, Red Hot Pussy Liquors. Otis dresses up in full satanic clothing, as do the rest, and they dress up Jerry, Mary, and Denise in bunny costumes. After arriving at a remote clearing, Mary escapes and runs, but Baby chases her down and brutally stabs her to death in a graveyard where the family has buried hundreds of victims over their years of killing. Dennis and Denise and Jerry are put in a coffin alive and lowered into an underground well-like cavern. Suddenly, the coffin is opened and demonic figures leap out of the water, grabbing Jerry and pulling him away. More underground freaks come up and rip Denise's bodysuit clear off of her. Denise wanders around underground until she comes upon a room. Inside is a bunch of surgery patients, and Dr. Satan himself is finally revealed as a pus-vomiting demon cyborg. Dr. Satan is currently well, that's really his creation. Dr. Satan is actually the frail creature operating on Jerry's exposed brain, which seems to be finally killing him. Zombie talks in the director's commentary about creating the look for Dr. Satan, and he says outright he wanted him to look kind of old, very old and decrepit, and like he was ready to fall apart. He's not really a cyborg. Whoever wrote the synopsis has that wrong. That's the guard creature that he's created. Dr. Satan is this frail Monty Burns looking motherfucker, and I think I remember Zombie saying that he was actually kind of inspired by the look of Monty Burns from The Simpsons for this. Because remember, this is kind of meant to be a live action, like, graphic novel. So, much like Otis Driftwood, that's his name. Much like Otis Driftwood, Dr. Satan's not supposed to look like someone who would probably really exist. He's supposed to look like a caricature. Just then, Dr. Satan's assistant, the professor, whom his mother Firefly's ex-husband, appears as a towering demonic cyborg. There we go. And attacks Denise with a huge axe. The professor chases Denise down the underground passageway until he swings his axe and accidentally hits a cave support, and part of the tunnel caves in, crushing the professor. At dawn, Denise manages to dig to the surface and wanders to a road, where Captain Spaulding is driving by in his red coverall. He picks her up, and as the two drive away, Otis suddenly sits up in the backseat with a knife. The final scene shows Denise back in Dr. Satan's underground lab being tortured by the demon. And he screams, but there is no escape. The end? ? Sorry I went through that kind of quick, but I got another one to do this morning. And to be honest, if you aren't sold when you watch the trailer for this thing, then you're not going to enjoy it. If you like grindhouse cinema, if you like really gory stuff, if you like really violent stuff, and you are ready to go full balls deep with this concept, watch it. I love the movie. I give it a 9. The music is fantastic. The art direction is superb. That's all there is to say. Peace, love, heavy fucking metal. Please like, comment, subscribe. Never forget, enter the void. See y'all next time. Bye.